It's that time of the week, that time of the hour. We're back with another brand new episode of the Beyond Spaceship podcast. We're the three most favorite co-hosts in the entire world. Well, we got four. I'm going to name who are special guests here.
Say hi, Molly.
Brad, myself, Eduardo, and Molly. We'll put the title here so you can see your name. But anyway, gents, it's been a while since we came back to the studio. I think the last thing we left off on, we were talking about the Jake Paul and Tyson fight, which you went, Brett. So you went over there, took a little trip to Texas, good old Texas. I mean, you want to talk about your little trip? I mean, we'll transition to the fight too as well. So,
Sure.
How was the trip overall?
The trip was awesome. Got down there, my best man at my wedding. Haven't seen him in 10 years. He was, the homie I rolled with from back in the day. So
Yeah.
10 years since we saw each other, and we just said it was spur of the moment. Let's do this. So went down to Dallas, Texas. Rented a Stingray Corvette. Got in some races.
Oh, nice.
We were racing another Corvette.
Jeez,
That was what started the race, and then a Lamborghini got in the mix, and then a Beamer got in the mix.
Oh, you didn't take any footage?
What's that?
You didn't take any footage?
So here's the thing: I've seen all these YouTubers taking footage, and then all of a sudden they're dead. So I didn't want to give myself bad juju, so I just left it off the recording. But we did really good. Yeah, we took past everybody, whatever, but hit 124 on the highway.
Ooh, dude, that's too fast, dude. I don't know. I mean, back in the days when you're young, you live for the thrills and the speed, but nowadays it's like I'm going to 80 and need to slow down a little bit.
We almost got robbed.
Really?
I don't think I told you this.
This is worthy of us. Okay.
So check this out. My boy, he's balling, right?
Yeah.
He's balling, and he's like unapologetic about it, right? And so, his shoes were $750 shoes. He's wearing a fancy watch and, whatever. I wouldn't have known because I'm not in that lane,
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'll go to Costco and call it a day.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Nice little Kirk's
They got nice
flannel.
stuff there.
So nobody,
They do. Hey, I'm
Exactly.
I like their shirts. I
You
like
guys
their
want to see
white
my
tees.
Costco card?
Got the black one.
But I'm rolling with him, and he's got the whole, the drip, right? And so I'm oblivious, and this is after the fight, and we were at this 7-Eleven near the stadium. Basically, we needed to call an Uber. We were waiting for the Uber. But, he pulls out his wallet, right? It's just like stack of green, that thick, right?
Moly.
And I'm just like, whatever. And I was oblivious to it, but apparently a couple of guys right behind us,
Holy moly.
they were nudging each other, they were casing us, and so they were trying to hurry up and get out when we left. So as soon as we left the store, he pulls me immediately to the side. He goes, "Hey, we're about to get robbed. We're about to get robbed." And, and I'm like, oh man, here we go. So I thought, I didn't know what was going to happen. But so we went over, but I noticed there were a couple of cops over in the corner.
Yeah.
So I just migrated over to the cops. And then by the grace of God, the Uber driver calls us. And I said, yeah, meet me directly in front of the 7-Eleven.
Oh, my God.
So we get in there, get in the car real quick. They're still looking at us,
Oh, man.
So I'm thinking, but they have their own car.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, are they going to follow us?
Yeah.
They didn't follow us, and so yeah.
Yeah, and that's like
drama.
So Texas is a stand your ground law where, like, if you had a weapon, you definitely, if you felt threatened, you could drop them in an instant, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like, the piece is probably at home, so you're like, I'm naked out here.
But the only guns I had were this and this. And
Bro, have you seen
That's crazy.
This is super random, but it's about getting robbed. Have you seen the Phase kids? Those kids that have been all over like the Phase, the new Phase kids that the Phase Bank selected, and they've been streaming.
Oh, so they're sort of streamers.
It's like Ronaldo and then that other kid. So they were driving around New York or LA, and he told him to get out of the car, right? One of them, and then he drove away as a joke. And by the time he did a U-turn and came back, he was out there getting robbed on the street.
oh man,
I know.
There was like four dudes were like walking up to him, and he's like, no. He's like, no, please, man. Like,
Right.
he just got in the car. Yeah,
that's
But
the
anyways.
thing. Like I've been in those situations before in Everett. Yeah, where I knew that there was a little honeypot going on. She needed her car jumped, but she came up to me at the gas station, and I could smell the liquor on her breath, and I'm like, and she needs a jump for her car.
Yeah.
I said, what are you doing driving? I can smell the liquor off you. No, I just need a jump. One of my friends is going to drive. And so I asked where the car was. She says, in this back alleyway in the dark.
Hell no.
Right? And
Super
so
sketch.
here's the thing, though. I'm like, I could probably pull it off. But I saw the guy she was with. Dude, swole, looked like a bodyguard. I said, but he stays here. You go alone.
Yeah.
He stays here. Nobody follows us. Nobody nothing. Anybody follows me, I bolt.
Yeah.
And then, so I went over there, and sure enough, man, I get the jumper cables on her car, and I didn't even rev my engine up or anything. I just said, okay, turn your key. She turned the key. It started right away, and then I ripped the cables off real quick, threw them in my car. And then, because I knew as quick as that motor started, I'm like, this is a setup. I just knew it. And so I jumped in my car, and right as I'm driving, there were four guys in the car that came down the alley, and I just hit those speed bumps going probably 40.
Oh my God.
That's in Seattle, right? You said?
What's
Seattle?
that?
Is it in Seattle or Everett?
That was in Everett.
Oh, damn. That's something you expect in Seattle. Okay.
So
you almost got robbed. Okay.
yeah, I've been. I think I have a guardian angel that protects me in these cases. So thank you.
Yeah, that's insane. That's crazy. But I mean, thankfully nothing happened, and you made it to the fight. But let's talk about the fight, man. You sent me some pictures. I shared some on our Instagram page. If you're not following us, check us out. Beyond Expedition Podcast on Instagram. The place was packed. That place lit up. I think
amazing seats.
Dude, what was the count? I think they said that 70,000 people were in attendance.
Dude, I thought it was like 109,000.
Really?
But I mean, it was people everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
So that's one thing to give credit right off bat, right? Like, I'll give kudos when kudos are definitely deserved, that, Jake can pull the crowd, right? His name does definitely travel, of course, with the help of Mike Tyson as well, because he's truly a legend. But yeah, I mean, you could see firsthand that numbers don't lie, that he definitely broke the record of, I think, at that stadium, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, too, you might have heard that.
Yeah.
It's like the record-breaking attendance number for that stadium.
I want to say it's the biggest sporting stadium, professional sporting stadium in America.
Oh, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, but that's because there's college stadiums that hold a lot more. I don't know, and that's really odd that you would think it'd be the opposite.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
yeah.
Some of these colleges you can technically fit like 110,000, 120,000 at the stadium.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably more of a safety thing, I would assume. Like
Probably.
a Seahawks game, you don't really want 120,000 people there. I mean,
Yeah, that's
think about like how bad it is down there already. Then add another 40%.
right.
On top of that,
No
I mean,
thanks.
that's another 50,000 people that
That's
are going to be
another
down there.
hour. So it already takes an hour to get out
yeah,
of the
dude.
stadium.
Yeah,
hour
that's
45.
another hour right there.
Yeah.
Okay. So far the experience when you walk in there, I'm sure like you still see a couple seats empty and all that. But tell me, like, as close as when you got to, like, I guess the main event, which, by the way, the women's boxing match that night, phenomenal. I think, to me, the best fight.
I agree.
The best fight of the
Also,
night.
the most disappointing result.
Oh, dude.
I mean, it was clearly Serrano won,
Oh,
right?
right.
I mean,
So we can go into that.
What
Okay.
the hell
Okay.
is wrong?
So from your point, because
it's
you
a
were
bad
there,
movie.
what was the reaction during that fight, and then what was the initial reaction to the judges when they gave the scorecard at the end of the fight?
At the fight, so I mean, the whole crowd I was with was going for Amanda.
Yeah.
As everybody.
Dude, she was so sweet.
But as soon as that eye was split open,
dude.
and we're talking, I mean, that blood was, we had the Jumbotron in front of us.
Right.
No, they got some on me.
You're seeing like any movement, any type of vibration on her body, that blood was splurting.
Yeah,
guys.
No worries, guys. We were having a little, guest is wilding out, but yeah, no, the cut on her eye. Let's go back to the cut on her eye. Dude, when I saw that thing open up and it was just flapping, bro,
dude.
It was
nasty. One of the nastiest cut for me personally that I've seen. I mean, UFC's a different breed of like, fighting and injuries and all that. But in boxing, to know that, obviously it was because of a headbutt. And to me, I felt like it was intentional.
And then
Fight me,
she
you don't disagree.
continued to press on her.
Oh,
the
dude.
whole fight. That was
Yeah.
dirty. That was dirty.
Yeah.
In my opinion, she should have had multiple points taken.
She should have.
So I think you guys were louder about it watching it on TV than we were there. I mean, it was like quiet. We were very quiet. I mean, anytime there was a hit, of course we're doing, But I mean, when we saw that blood, we just knew that that's not good.
Yeah.
This is probably not going to work in her favor. She held her own though. She held her own. But Katie came in. She came in hard though. I mean,
they were scrapping. I mean, there's times where, to me, I felt like they were engaged at full front. Where there was times where they were just getting in each other's faces and letting loose, dude. And I'm like, one of them's gonna get dropped. Like it's an amount of time that someone's gonna get just checked on the chin and it's done. Yep. But both of them, dude, they were scrapping, dude.
I'm not exactly like a boxing historian. I've watched a decent amount of boxing. That honestly might be top 5 fights I've ever seen.
It was a badass fight.
Wow.
That was a badass fight.
It was good.
It was a good fight.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, it always to me though, it always takes away when the result is
like not in the favor of what you think is going to happen.
It's like the Haney Lomchenko.
Oh, exactly. I was going to just about to say.
I mean, it was like a robbery. It was like, but that was even worse because he didn't even get cut.
Yeah.
Like it was like he was completely fine.
It was strictly.
But you see that a lot in boxing now. It's the most corrupt sport in the world, in my opinion.
And what's crazy?
That's where I want to go eventually.
Okay, so the one thing too that that we have to keep in mind, this is the second time they fought. Now there's talking about a trilogy pay-per-view. That's going to be its own event, which I hope that happens. Definitely want to see that. But they scrapped before. The first fight, they even said that Amanda Serrano took that. It was a close fight, but they said that Amanda had like the slight edge.
She got robbed in that one too.
So this is 2 robberies that, in our humble opinion, I think we all agree on this couch that Amanda Serrano, if you're ever going to watch these clips, if it makes it to you, we think you're the champ. You deserve those 2 dubs. Amazing fighter.
And the 5 belts.
And I hope you get a 3rd fight with Taylor. So that's just
that was the thing that too. I don't know if you understood, but it was a unified championship
for all 4 belts.
All the belts,
And
so she came out with Katie Taylor took all of her belts.
Yeah.
Wow. And she went up 3 weight or was it 4 weight classes?
3 weight classes.
Yeah, just she went up crazy amount, like just to make that fight. Guys would never do that.
No,
they would
it's too much of a risk.
That. Oh yeah,
it's too much of a risk.
Yeah, like think about Terrence Crawford, like going up, like he would never go up to like 175 or something like that, or 180. Like there's no way he would.
Dude,
do that.
I mean, it just really depends. Like,
go fight Errol Spence or something. Like he did fight Errol Spence.
He did fight Errol Spence.
But who's the guy? Who's the guy?
It's like him fighting
Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder, something like that class, bro. So no, but yes, that fight alone, I think to me, like really. Like that made the fight that made the card, in my opinion, where it really gave the fans like a match of the night,
right?
To where like this was itself money's worth to come.
At least we got some of our money's worth.
For sure. So let's move on to the main event, of course, where we had a lot of mixed opinions of what would happen, but I think all of us are safe to say that we thought Iron Mike Tyson, the GOAT, was going to take the fight. So, Brad, I mean, what happened? I mean, you feel
that was
the vibe.
That was the vibe. We said, and now all of us. So we made friends with all the people around us. We were all in cahoots. We were all sharing our ideas and our opinions. Every single one of us said Tyson should win this.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, this shit is rigged.
Yeah.
And so it once the fight started, Mike kind of came out, he had a couple of good ones, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is going to be good then, right? It's going to be good. Until, what was it, the 2nd round, all of a sudden, Mike had hit him a good one, and then they lock up. And then after they locked up, all of a sudden, after that, it was like Mike really took off the brakes.
Yeah,
right?
The pressure was off.
And then he just kept biting his gloves, and we're just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is happening right now?
Did you hear he does that? He has done that in the past.
Yeah.
The commentator was commenting on that, the Strikeforce guy.
Yeah.
And he was saying, I've done a lot of Mike Tyson's fights, and I've seen him do this a lot of times.
Yeah.
Even back in his heyday.
So it's like a habit.
So maybe I just never saw it.
I'd never seen it that much. I'd never seen, well, maybe that, right? Maybe we'd never seen enough because he just destroys people.
Yeah. 2nd round, they're done, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently in training, he does that all the time and stuff too.
We were just thinking, I was just thinking, okay, so if he, it's going to get iffy after the 4th round, because then Mike, he's never performed well in the later rounds anyway. Now with him being, 59, 60 years old, 58, whatever, however old he is, but, it's going to be 10 times worse.
Yeah.
And then that's where Jake Paul could have a real opportunity. However, when they locked up and then all of a sudden Mike's just not really throwing any punches, anything, not connected.
He's just kind of standing still.
Wait a minute. We've seen him training. He put one of his trainers in the hospital.
Yeah.
there's something that's going on right now.
Yeah.
And there was a bad taste in every one of our mouths.
Yeah.
It was just like, so for me, I was like, you know what? I will never watch another boxing match hyped up like this again because it's rigged. It's rigged. That's it. That's the feeling that all of us had was that
Interesting.
completely rigged. I come home, everybody's saying it's rigged.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, there it is.
So Brad, what do you think? Do you think it's one of those things where I think it was more for a payday?
I mean, okay. So what I think is that I don't think at all that that they like agreed verbally, like, hey, let's do this, and the fight's going to go like that. I personally actually gained a lot more respect for Jake Paul because I think he realized Tyson didn't have it, like right away. Because like if you watch the first minute, I think after that he let him survive though. He let him live. Like, but I think he went into the fight thinking that they're gonna hurt each other, right? Well, after he felt Mike's power or whatever, the punches they exchanged, because I don't know if you noticed, it was about a minute and a half into round one when they finally, or maybe about a half a minute into round one where they had their first exchange, it looked like, and Jake Paul jumped. Yeah. He literally jumped off the ground. He was scared. Like, and Mike came in, like, did his thing, and he kind of threw, and he connected, and he was like, oh. I think he was like, oh, and then Mike connected with him pretty clean on one later.
Yeah.
And I think he realized that he didn't have the power that, you know, and a lot of that to me, the reason why is you saw that giant brace on his knee, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows a power puncher like needs that back leg.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't lean forward and throw a power leg unless you're throwing like an overhand punch.
And that's one thing I think Roy Jones Jr. was saying something about his leg, like his legs.
Don't like his legs. Yeah. He's like, don't like his legs. That. Kept saying it over and over again. He kept saying he didn't like the glove thing, but he was right about the legs.
Yeah, yeah.
The legs thing, I mean, you could see. He was like, there were memes about it online. It was like Mike Tyson in the hype videos, and it shows this guy like all yoked, and then it shows him walking like with a walker. Oh, it's like a bodybuilder, right? Yeah. Like with his legs all pointed in. And like,
so let me ask you this then. What does this do for Jake Paul and his legacy? Right?
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely got that.
I think it does nothing for his boxing legacy whatsoever.
Does it tarnish it at all?
No, I don't think it tarnishes. I think it's kind of a joke. I think he should remove the loss.
The loss of that.
Yeah, I think he should take it off, Mike. If he's really dead serious and he respects him, he should have that taken off. That wasn't a real fight. The guy was, I mean, he was in a diaper basically, like an old man diaper. And no, I don't think it does anything for his boxing, but I do think that he got respect from the boxing community by how he treated Mike. Honestly,
that's one way to look at it.
He could have teed off on him at the end.
So the one thing I will agree with you on that. I thought Mike had more power than he had.
Yeah,
and you're saying that he didn't. But one thing that was Jake Paul was very respectful.
Yeah.
With Mike, I thought it was because of the money. Like, hey, I respect
Mike. He can do that with anyone. Even without Mike Tyson, he could have done that with. Did you hear Muhammad Ali's grandson got offered?
I'm not sure about that.
So Muhammad Ali's grandson is a professional boxer, and he's coming up the old-fashioned way. Like he doesn't want to do it, but he was offered a multi-million-dollar contract to fight with their promotion. So there's ways in so many different people's sons and cousins and. You know, oh, it's Khabib's cousin. Oh, it's, you know, whoever it is.
Shane Mosley's son's fighting too.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many people that they can fight. And then there's always a YouTuber that, you know, like someone like Speed. Yeah. I could see that happening. Have you seen I Show Speed, that the African-American kid he's really popular. I would say he's right up there with that Kai Cenat guy. But he actually said he would fight Jake Paul, and he's
probably a smaller dude.
He's a legit athlete.
Yeah.
No, I think he could put on about probably 20 pounds.
Yeah.
He'd have to put on like probably 20 pounds of muscle.
Okay.
But he did so Noah Lyles, the gold medal. I want to say
a runner, track
he
star.
ran. I want to say it was a 200, the 200 meter. He got. Yeah, I want to say he got a gold medal, right? He's a 100 meter and 200 meter world champion before the Olympics. Speed ran against him, and he didn't. I will say he probably didn't expect Speed to be that fast.
Yeah.
Speed almost beat him.
That's crazy.
Like when they were he was trying to be like the Olympic guy. This guy actually almost beat him. Just a
regular dude,
yeah, just a regular dude, yeah. And he did they have this thing when you go to soccer games. He's a Ronaldo fan, right?
Yeah.
So they have this thing like to show how high Ronaldo jumps to hit the ball with his head, and so they have the ball like up on a string. No one can touch it. He can.
Wow.
He jumps up like 40 inches up, bop, hits the ball. Yeah.
So I would think that
he's athletic. He can, I mean, I don't know. The boxing thing might be different though, you know?
See, when it comes to boxing, I think to me, it shows that he has a big pull when it comes to putting people in seats. That I do give him that. He's popular, well known. He can draw those people in.
Jake Paul or Speed?
Jake Paul.
Yeah.
I don't think, however, that aside from one fight that he's had on his record, which is against one of the Fury brothers, the young guy,
right?
That's the only legitimate fight that he's ever had, and he lost. So he technically, in my book, in my opinion, he's 0-1.
And he says he knocked him down, and it's a slip.
No,
he always says, "I knocked down all my opponents in all my fights." And the Fury fight, dude, it was clearly a slip.
Yeah,
he stepped backward, and his foot slides.
I think I saw the video.
Yeah, then he jabs him, and he's just like pop, and then he falls down. He's like, I slipped. And he's calling a knockdown.
So it has to be where he fights legitimate fighters at this point going forward if he really wants to be taken seriously. Now, there is a couple cats that called him out in his division, and I think it would be suicide if he does it. But this is where you kind of have to prove yourself at this point. It's like people said, we'll give you respect. Even if you take the fight and you lose, we'll give you that respect that you at least initiated to try to take on those fights. Yeah. Andre Ward called him out. Andre Ward, he was undefeated, retired undefeated, heavyweight, middle heavyweight. And
wasn't he on the commentary?
He was a commentary. He called him out, and Artur, the guy that fought Bivol, so the guy that beat Canelo, he's in the same weight class. He's the unified champion. Called him out and said, "I'm not really here to get any pull off your name, but if you really want a shot at all the titles, I'll give you a shot."
Here's an old name,
straight up like that.
An old name in boxing that would have. I feel like if he would have been around now, he totally would have taken this fight. Paulie Malignaggi.
Yeah.
So he was a badass though. I'm not gonna lie. He had some good fights. He never could beat Mayweather. Yeah. Obviously, that was he was just the guy that like if he was in this era, he might be the champ in his weight in his weight class.
The commentator, right? He's a commentator.
Yeah. He would he would have hated Jake Paul.
So there's definitely people that he could fight now that he can prove himself. But at this point, to me, I still don't really like. I mean, I'll give him credit that he's actually doing it and like actually making the attempt to box. But other than that, until he fights real opponents, I don't think people are really going to sway too much to really become like a true fan of his.
Yeah.
I think to me, this was just hyped up, social media, people talking about it. It got the ball rolling, and you got what you got. Which I mean, like I said, I got to give kudos to him for pulling off. To him, in his opinion, or in numbers, he did create a successful event for boxing, and it's at the end it's a good thing for boxing, right? You're putting more eyes on the sport itself. Like with that Serrano and Taylor fight, we were all watching it. So now we're talking about a third fight with them. So it's like it worked. It's obviously worked. So he's bringing more attention to boxing. It worked, and I mean, kudos to him and Mike for making some money. I think Mike got paid like $20 million to fake fight. So.
Then he got another $5 million to get to go 4 rounds or past 4 rounds.
Okay, yeah, then there you go.
He got that verbal offer. But one thing I think that's like really underlooked in this whole thing is not the fight itself, but the way we consume fights normally. Yeah, that was amazing.
Oh yeah,
I loved that. Yeah. I mean,
Friday night.
How amazing that is that you didn't have to pay anything for that.
It was
great.
No, it was the coolest thing because I know with it being free, right? I'm getting text messages, left and right, from everybody who's watching it. Of course, everybody's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm right in front of the camera."
Look to the left. Look to the left.
But I thought that was pretty cool myself.
And I think that's like back in the days too, right? Where they had fights like on PBS, and they would have them on Fridays or on the weekends, where it was more prevalent. Where now there was a certain time where it was just pay-per-view. You have to pay $80. But now that we, I wish we could get Samir back in here because he is the boxing aficionado. Shout out to Samir. We were talking boxing in our last previous episode where we left off, but we were talking about the gentleman from, where is it? He's from Abu Dhabi, I believe. Abu Dhabi or somewhere over there, or Dubai. He's trying to get it where pay-per-view fights are going to be, he would want to make them at $20 pay-per-view. in comparison to what they are like 80,
I'd
90
buy them
bucks.
all.
Yeah. So
I mean, can you imagine if the boxing and the UFC fights were all like $20?
oh,
Everyone
yeah,
would
I
buy
think you
them.
get more people to buy them
Yeah.
because right now piracy is a big thing where they're like bootlegging the fights nowadays, where they're finding these links to watch them and all that. So I mean, if they can lower that price down, I feel they'd be more successful. But hey, man, I mean, for now they're gonna have to charge what they charge. But
when they announced that Paul won, right? Everybody. I mean, dude, I didn't really. I guess they said that the younger crowd was going for Paul, but there wasn't a lot of celebration. I didn't really see it. It was just very quiet where I was at, and then finally we get out of the not in the stadium. We're still in the stadium, but we get out of our seats and then go through the doors.
Yeah.
And then finally, this one guy, he just saw all of us just quiet, and he goes, "You know what, guys? We were here. We got to see him."
Yeah.
His last fight,
Yeah.
Do you think this will be Tyson's last fight?
Well, he said he's not done, but man, I kind of feel like he should hang him up.
Should be, right?
He
It
should
was
be
bad,
dead.
dude.
Yeah.
It was really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, he's got a successful podcast.
Yeah,
He's got
leg-
he's in the
his
cannabis
leg's like
industry,
that.
bro. He's a made man.
Yeah.
Like, what more does he need?
Is it his money or the ego? What is it? Why can't he?
I think a lot of fighters said, someone said it in the commentary. It's like when you're a fighter, you're a boxer. It's like your mind wants that, they want to get back in the ring and fight. It's like just embedded in them, but the body's pretty much saying, nah, you can't no more, really.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think
and
it's a mixture between the.
I thought it was kind of funny when people were like, look, Mike was pulling his punches. It's like, dude, the fucking guy is older. He's like a grandpa.
60 years old.
I mean,
he's
like, okay, you get to a certain point, even me playing basketball, like, my brain wants my body to do things that I used to be able to do.
Exactly.
And if I do those things, I might be able to do it once. Yep. But when I do it, there goes the back.
The knees.
There goes the back. I go up, I get one good jump, I stomp my foot on the ground, my arch is all of a sudden hurting. Like, I'm telling you that Mike might have felt good in those first two exchanges. And fucked his knee up.
Quickly realized, okay.
Well, I think his knee, he knew it was in his head, obviously, because he had a brace on it, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't have, nothing would have been on it. Because that's not normal to have that brace.
What was the deal? See, we didn't see it on our end in the stadium, but my wife was telling me something about him wearing, like, you can see his butt.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
What was that about?
So a lot of people don't realize, too, that was his son that was interviewing him. His son.
Okay.
So they give him a case.
If you look at the beginning, it says, I forget what his name was. He did a really good job though, and that was something I think that was about the fight for Tyson also, not just some money, but it seemed like he put his family on. His family was doing different things. Like then you see his son, his daughter was doing something for the media. So I think this might have had something to do with them getting jobs at Netflix or something like that. You know what I mean? Because they were working for Netflix, right? So that guy got a professional pay-per-view experience interviewing his dad, right? So he comes up and he goes, how you feeling? And Tyson, he's in his mode. He's hitting the pads in the back room, and and basically, he gives some gibberish answer. I don't even remember.
It was really like a long answer, just like
he was like, "I'm ready to fight. I'm ready. I was born." He's like, "It's gonna." He's like, "How's it gonna end?" And he's like, "Violently." And then he walks away. and then he walks away all silently, and he's like limping. And you just see his cottage cheese ass, dude. He's like all lumpy and shit.
I was like, "What the hell?"
So he had his belt. He had his because you were the protector for your groin. Yeah, the groin protector, and he had no shorts on yet.
It's just it's literally like a G-string.
All right.
You want to see it? Yeah.
Because my wife asked me, she's like, "What?" I said, "I don't see Mike Tyson."
But she has the jumbotron. No, that was funny. That became a meme. I think the internet's quick on it. They turned it into a meme, and it was everywhere like the following week, just making fun of the guy. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, they're both winners. They made money. They definitely put his historic pay-per-view event. So it was the Manis Serrano and Taylor fight was dude, that alone definitely made up for that card.
That was great.
We hopefully see a third on that one. That was amazing. So it definitely a good night for boxing in a sense for that. With that being said, but yeah, man. That's it.
Yeah, we didn't see that.
They definitely excluded that.
He's like, I love you, son.
Oh my!
Imagine your dad kissing you wearing that outfit.
That's funny.
That is crazy.
That is funny.
I think the video might be
So
better.
yeah, so transitioning to, I guess we could talk about just a little bit of politics. The red wave is among us, my friends. It's MAGA time, like they say. Instead of boyfriend time, it's MAGA time.
MAGA time.
Oh yeah, let's check out the video real quick. So there goes the dad, gives him a kiss on the cheek, he walks away, like, oh yeah.
They stay on him. They stay on him for like 2 seconds.
Dude, that cameraman had one job, bro.
Oh, bro. You just had to move it. He moved it the last second when the frame was over. See, there he zooms. And it's like, oh my God.
He thought he was.
I wonder if that guy got fired. I wonder if that camera guy got fired.
Tyson probably don't give a fuck.
You see those camera guys at the volleyball?
Yeah.
You know, whenever they're doing women's volleyball, they just stay on the booty. Are they allowed to do that?
I guess so, bro. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy though. But yeah. But okay, let's talk about we talked about the election before it took place, and you know, obviously the results. Donald Trump won again, second term, being president here soon at the beginning of the year. Initial thoughts, right off rip. Were you surprised or not surprised that he won pretty much by what we say? It was fair to say it's a landslide.
Yeah.
Was I surprised? I'm surprised. So the one thing that I was surprised about this election is they said that 49 out of 50 states went right, meaning the people are just tired of these progressive defunding police, migrants running free, running the communities, you know, all that kind of stuff. They are so sick and tired of that narrative. And so the country went right. So that could be part of it. You know, I mean, every time I saw a MAGA rally and then a Dudes for Harris rally, you know, it was night and day difference. So, I mean, you know, I thought it was just the states. So no, I can't say I'm surprised that Trump won, or even by as much as he did. It's just, you know, seeing some of those communities. I guess what is kind of neat to see is that you had traditionally liberal communities that went red.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, like how bad does it have to be when you have counties that have voted blue every single time? I mean, they're in lockstep, right? And then all of a sudden they're just governing so bad that they go red.
Yeah.
And so anyway, politics is, I tell you what, one thing I've done with politics, you know, no gloating, no bragging. Trump got it. But like, I have a neighbor who is just hardcore blue, thinks that this country is going to fall apart, right? Fall apart. And so, you know, one thing I've been trying to do with those people is like, hey, we're all here. We're all just in this together. So if it does fall apart, you know, I'm part of it too. I hope it doesn't. But, you know, so I've been kind of, ever since it went, I've just been kind of like leaning a little bit away from the politics and all that, because it's just too divisive. And I love people too much to want to have that for sure.
I wouldn't say it was a landslide by popular vote, but by electoral standards, he killed her.
Yeah.
I mean, he won by like 86.
Well, dude, it wasn't this the first like Republican election where they won by popular, like the popular vote? Normally they lean on that electoral college.
Electoral wise, he beat her by 86, which is like almost 40% of her entire
the red wave,
right? But you never see Republicans winning the popular vote, even when they win the electoral college. They never win that popular vote.
And also they got
2.5 million's a lot. I mean, it's like 2%.
So correct me wrong. I just want to throw out some facts. He got the Republicans got the House and the Senate, right? So it's full on Republican. So it's if changes are going to be made, this is the time to do it now. And like you said, man, I mean, to add on to what you were saying, right? Like, we should definitely it just seems that over this results that the world's over, America's no longer no more, we're going backwards, not forward, it's all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, look, when people say, I hate when they use that term where, well, it's only going to benefit you. No, in some terms, it's going to benefit everybody. And that's the thing, where it's like people are trying to downplay this as where it's like the other team wins and you guys lose. But it's like, no, at the end of the day, the government's going to work for us. Hopefully it's that way. And hopefully these things that come from this is going to be a huge manufacturer to where it'll open those eyes of people that were voting the other side maybe for a while, that they might be able to transition or see the reality and things like, damn, maybe I was thinking back and thought all this stuff, I was completely wrong, or I was being told all these wrong things. And it's really not like that. Now that you're seeing full blown of what, Republicans are going to deliver this time around, because I'm hoping in these 4 years that there's going to be some massive good changes. You know what I'm saying? So
I think the biggest changes we're going to see, I think immigration is going to be pretty big.
Yeah, that was going to be big.
But the changes that all of us are going to see is taxes. I think all of us are back to those, 2016 to 2020 days where, we were living pretty good. I bought my house in 2016, and I just remember it's just like, wow, I've got all this extra money. I made it. And Biden came in, and of course, they were blaming everything on the pandemic and all that. But I mean, the whole Biden presidency, I can't tell you how much money I lost to inflation. Inflation just
everybody
swallowed up, and the higher taxes. We live in a state that taxes every corner. So even with a Trump presidency, we are still going to have some of the highest taxes with our new governor in there, Bob Ferguson. He's made it very clear that he wants us to be the highest in taxes in the state. He does not want us driving vehicles.
Like a scumbag.
He wants us all in massive vehicles. He is a scumbag.
It sounds like he's definitely bald. Sure.
No, but he's
he will be after these. No, but you're right. So adding on to that, man, one of the things that I do want to see is this. They're calling themselves is like the Doge. What is that?
Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah. So right there, okay, we're talking about taxes and all that. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. Not once, not twice, not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times the Pentagon has failed their audit. How much money, Brett? Fill me in. Fill the people in.
Trillion.
How much money can they not account for that? I don't know where it went.
So the latest one was $2 trillion. That was the whole thing. So on September 10th of 2001, Donald Rumsfeld had announced that one of their audits, they were missing $2 trillion then. Yeah. So that was supposed to be big news. And then the next day, September 11th, all that Pentagon stuff just got lost at the wayside.
Do you guys see this at the UFC?
No, I didn't see this at the UFC.
So Trump came and watched John Jones, his championship fight.
Oh, yeah. That's another thing.
And so he's walking in right now. You can see Kid Rock, Dana White, Trump,
So that's one thing with Trump, right? John Jones was doing the dance, the Trump dance. I'm hearing that in the NFL, they're telling them they can't do the Trump dance.
They can, but they can't wear the MAGA hat.
Oh, okay.
Because people have already done it.
Yeah,
in the NFL, people have already done it. Right when he got elected that weekend.
So you can,
everyone was
doing
the
Trump
the
dance.
dance is okay. It's penalty free, but for some reason it was the MAGA hat, right? That they were getting fined.
Somebody got fined, right?
Yeah. Bosa.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Nick Bosa. You know what's funny? He played for the 49ers, right? He got hurt in the game last week. He's out for the season.
Oh wow.
He's their best player.
But if they were wearing a Harris hat, would there have been a fine?
That's the thing. Hypocrisy at its finest, if that's the case. If that's the case.
Jelly Roll, did you see him?
Yeah. Loves Joe Rogan, dude. Him and Joe Rogan are like, dude.
Yeah, look at Joe Rogan giving them a So the real cool thing, I don't know if they'll show it here, after the fight, he did the dance, right?
Yeah.
John Jones, who's considered, Dana White, the president of the UFC, considers him the greatest fighter in the history of mixed martial arts.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he got on his knees and gave the belt to Trump.
Yep.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Respect.
Isn't that amazing?
That's like Michael Jordan going out to the crowd, like up in the skybox, and giving his MVP trophy.
Yeah, or the shoes, dude.
His shoes, his trophy, everything. Just gives it all, right?
That's crazy.
Do you think Trump feels like a king right now?
Oh, dude, yeah. I think he does feel in a sense like, me calling how it's going to be and what the results are going to be and being confident that you're going to win the presidency.
They play the hype
I think
video.
it's like a chef's kiss where like it came true what I said.
Yeah.
And the fact that to him, like for me, one thing that he did very well, and they're saying that his son, what's his son's name?
Who, Eric or Donald Jr.?
Donald Jr. So
Hunter? No, I'm kidding.
they were saying that he was a pivotal key of suggesting what podcast for him to go on so he could talk to
you're
the
talking
youth.
Byron,
Byron,
the genius
yeah.
kid.
So he's
Kid's
the one
smart,
that
dude.
implanted
Taller
that.
than you.
He's the one that told his dad like the podcast that he should go on.
Yes.
So he went Flagrant. He went on Theo Von. He went on all these ones that
Aiden Ross or something.
It was just
That
everywhere.
was a huge
That
one.
was huge, right?
That was a live stream.
Didn't he give Trump a Cybertruck?
Yeah, it was like in his in like a mag-
Dude, his whole family. Did you see how they did that? So he did a live stream on Kick on his because he basically made that company what it is. I mean, you tried to stream on that, I guess, when it first opened.
Yeah.
But he signed with it and turned it into like a whole nother thing.
Yeah, it's a
So he
competitor.
did the live stream interview of Trump, and he had his family and friends in the background, like in the crowd, kind of like how they do on the network TV, and they'll have the faces in the background.
yeah.
And so it was funny. He had his friends and stuff there, and he was just asking questions. And I think they had over a couple million people watching.
Yeah,
like it ended up,
he played it right to where he
that
won.
won him the election, bro.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
but
honestly
also
that's what helped him. Really,
in that same stroke, Elon Musk on Spaces did the same thing.
Yeah.
Trump went on Spaces after.
Yeah.
Now remember,
All those connections.
January 6th of 2021. Jack Dorsey took him off.
Yep.
Said, no, we're taking him off. So he had his account banned. Elon Musk bought the platform, put him back on,
Yep.
and then put him on Spaces.
Yep.
And then those
That's
two, they
what-
had a Spaces. So, yeah, I'm telling you, dude, Byron, his finger is on the
No, he
freaking
was.
pulse.
He's really. I think he made some pivotal moves for him to really gain more. I mean, they were saying that the male Latino vote grew from like 38% to like 53, 54.
Wow.
And they voted for him.
Wow.
So you're talking about like, I mean, that's a significant jump to where I think that really benefited him in the end. So,
Yep.
I mean, more of the story, Trump won the presidencies, and yeah, right there, as you
Yeah,
see,
there
kind
it
of the
is.
belt. And then his smile's like, this is the happiest we've seen Donald Trump ever be, because he let out like this really great smile.
And dude, he has so many of those belts. He doesn't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah,
he
man.
keep that thing, bro. He's got like, because think about this, guys. Like a normal, like a NBA champion, right? Every time you win the championship at the end of the season, you get a trophy. Well, fighters, every time they win, it's technically a world championship.
Yeah.
So if John Jones wins 20 times, he's a 20-time world champion.
Wow.
Right? So that's
Yeah.
So he's like,
he's
hey,
not-
I got more.
he's at the point where he's like 19 championships or something like that. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
crazy.
So yeah, he gave a champ to another champ, give him his belt, bro.
That's amazing.
Dude,
Dude,
one of his
yeah,
trophies, bro.
yeah, I hope we see some changes though, man. I think now it's time for some action. I think now is really like everything we heard is good. I love what I heard. Now it's really time to put it to play to let's see what happens. So I'm excited to see what happens. You know, I'm always optimistic of the outcome of, you know, regardless, it's like, you know, Biden won last term and, you know, life's going to continue on as it did before and the same thing now. So we just can only hope for the best for this country, bro. And that's just how I look at it. So,
But yeah, you know, some of those what you were bringing up Doge, right? Let me see if I can bring up some of that stuff on X because they have their own X account.
Yeah, they do. They're putting everything on blast on the stuff, the type of things they're going to look into. And they said they wanted to get justice for Peanut. Did you see something like that?
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, dude, master troll level.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys. I mean, you got
Vivek Ramaswamy,
Vivek Ramaswamy,
Elon,
and Elon,
and then
heading
who
it.
else?
Well, I think it's just those
Just
two,
those
right?
two? Oh, damn! I think
Yeah, it's just those two, and then for that, and then you've got JD Vance. So a book I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read his book, Hillbilly Elegy, but it's on Netflix.
Okay.
Dude, I'll tell you this. Have you either one of you watched this movie?
No.
Okay. You know my life and how I grew up, right? You've caught some of that too, right? I was telling my wife, I'm like, I was watching that movie. I'm like, this is the first person who I've seen went through something similar to my level of chaos in my life as him. as JD Vance. I'm like, and he's my age. Him and I are the same age. And so I just thought, because it was a great movie. I mean, it was a great story. And then, and that was before he was vice president. That was just him being a senator, and all that fun stuff. But then he went on even beyond the story to be the vice president. But it's just, what was amazing though, it's just the everything he went through. His mom, driving the car, and spoiler alert, but oncoming traffic. She's in one of her episodes. I could hit oncoming traffic. I could do that, and so he's just like in fear for his life.
Damn.
And it just like I was watching that movie, and I'm just like, man, this is bringing me back. There's so many things that he went through. I'm like, this is crazy. I got goosebumps watching it. So I want to get the book. But the one thing that they didn't focus on the movie, though, is they show, the end of the movie, and then they talk about how he went on to go to the Marines and whatever. Yeah. They missed a critical part, I think, in the sense that somehow he had to address all of that trauma, all of that. And that's... So for people who are going through that, don't think that going to the military is going to fix it. If anything, it's going to make it worse, because all it's going to do is just add more trauma and chaos onto everything. So they didn't talk about anything of counseling. So I don't know if he had to have done some sort of therapy or counseling, because you can't go through that level of trauma without proper counseling. And so just from my own experience, that's what it took me 7 years of counseling to get all of that stuff, for the most part fixed. But anyway, good movie. It was great. I was so impressed, and it just really made me even happier that he was our vice president, that we have, another thing too, in Dallas, my boy, right? He doesn't know history. He's not a history buff like I am, right? Yeah. Big history buff. We're in Dallas on the top of this tower, kind of like it's like Tower of the Worlds or whatever, their version of the Space Needle. Okay. But it's a ball. So I'm looking down, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's the grassy knoll. And so he's like, what's the grassy knoll? I'm like, where JFK got domed, bro. And then, so I'm like, dude, we got to get down there. I need to see this, but you need to too, because you need to know some history. So we get down there, and there's the building, and they show I should send you some pictures too, if I haven't already, for the thing. But anyway, there's a building where Lee Harvey Oswald was on the 6th floor, and so it's marked with a little white box pointing in the direction of the road that Kennedy was on. Where Kennedy got domed, there's a big X in the road. So we're there. I mean, we are there on the grassy knoll. And it was just wild, because there's that official narrative. When Trump was president the first time, he swore before he got elected that he would release those JFK papers. They said after 50 years, you can release the papers. When he was in office, that was 50 some odd years, right? It was more than 50 years. He said he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't release the papers. So they're talking about doing it again. But I think what they're doing is they're waiting for one of the Secret Service. They're waiting for all the Secret Service people to die so that no repercussions happen to any of the family or whatever. So they're waiting for everybody to die to release it. But because I think we're going to find out some really crazy stuff about our government. And I think maybe it's a mistake, maybe whatever, but there's more to the narrative than we've got on the official narrative. The way that the Secret Service came in, and the brain went missing, the bullets went missing, everything, all the evidence went missing with a president assassination. There's too much more to the story that we don't know, that hopefully when these papers come out.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories behind that. I remember I did like a vast research at the time when we were talking about it, that there was a lot of things that just didn't line up right with how they handled that, the transportation of his body. There was a lot of differences in his body. Like it's some crazy stuff, bro. Yeah.
The Secret Service was in the surgery room.
Yeah.
So they're doing surgery on the president, and all the Secret Service is there. They're like, no, we need to do this. We need to be here. And the doctors are trying to push him out. Like, no, you cannot be in here. No, we have to. We have to be with him. He's already gone, dude. But they were just taking all the evidence away. away.
Yeah.
Any when taking photos, they took all their film away, all their cameras, all that stuff. But another thing too that I don't know how much you've been paying attention to it, Brad. I've been loosely paying attention to it, but these UFO things, they're like something's happening.
Yeah.
Something is happening. Like we are on the cusp of information being out there that has never been told, but the government knows. But it's now becoming mainstream.
Yeah,
stuff that what used to be beyond expectation, right, is now becoming mainstream, and it's just for me, it's so surreal. You know, as being someone like you ever talk about UFOs or anything like that, people just kind of give you the side eye. Well, my government hasn't, endorsed that view, that narrative, so I don't believe it. Fox News doesn't endorse it. MSNBC doesn't endorse it. So they believe so much everything. But now it is on MSNBC. It is on Fox News. It is on these mainstream outlets. So, dude.
So what are
It's
you
normal now. It's like everyone just thinks it has to exist.
Right.
It has to.
So what are you thinking about the latest stuff that's come out that they said they've had, I believe, in the realms of 746 new sightings as of recent, and a lot of them actually are taking place in the ocean. A lot of
I think a lot of it, I'll just be honest with you guys, I think a lot of it has to do with the turmoil that the world is in. So, you know, if these aliens are like watchers of the world or whatever, Book of Enoch,
check it out. Book of Enoch.
Then what they're going to do is they're going to go out of their way to make sure we don't nuke each other, that we don't kill each other.
Interesting.
So that's my own theory. It's my own read on it. But I was telling you about all this stuff coming out is that this is going to really challenge a lot of people's faith. You know, like if you were, let's just say an old South Baptist, hardline, whatever, you're being told that ghosts aren't real or ghosts are the demons, aliens aren't real, all that. And all of a sudden you get aliens in your face.
Excuse me.
Your faith might be rocked a little bit.
I would assume that's a huge reason why they haven't brought it out to us.
Could be.
Because a lot of people consider religion to be population control.
Yeah.
People that are not religious say that it's just a form of control. Because if you're a human and you have no God and you have no afterlife and you know it's all over and you have no repercussions for any actions you have or take or whatever, I mean, you'll do whatever it is possible to survive, right?
There's no morals,
you would
nothing.
feel
There's nothing that's
you've been
inhumane.
lied to your whole life, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, they said that none of this was real, and look, it's real. It's right in front of me.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: for anybody on that fence that doesn't believe in aliens, or you think that the Bible doesn't tell you to believe in aliens, check out Chuck Missler on YouTube, and he has this guy was he worked with the U.S. Navy. He was like a nuclear guy. I mean, he was a genius. The guy was a genius. He retired from the Navy, did all of his years, retired from the Navy, ended up learning the Bible and going in there. But in his understanding of the book of Genesis, he's like, there's your UFOs, there's your aliens right here. So he breaks it down for people. So that's my message for the Christians, the people that are about to get their world rocked when these aliens and UFOs are coming out. Don't do anything rash. Just reframe your thinking, with all that.
I think it's very weird living in like you've said all the time, and we've talked about this off the pod, we're living in very interesting times right now to where if this does come forward, will we even be surprised if one day we see whatever it is that's flying present itself to us? Or it could take a time where, in Russia, they tested the supersonic missile that they sent hey, by the way, we have these. Mm-hmm. It's going to take something of a magnitude to where a nuke might go off and they'll just stop it in plain sight. Right. And that they're going to show us, they're going to flex and they're going to be like, we can do this at any given cost.
I think some of these things we're seeing are being flown by humans.
So like
Hector, Russia and China,
and you haven't got to meet Hector yet, have you? Or have you? He's our Bigfoot guy, and he's our favorite. Hector and Eric are our favorite Bigfoot guys.
Yeah.
Hector has his finger on the pulse on these UAPs too. He tells us that the Navy is who's making those triangular ones, and that the Army is the one making the Tic Tac ones, UFOs. So they are man-made, and that's one thing I've been saying. Back in World War II, the Nazis were working on their own UFOs. Yep,
It's like a bell. It was like a bell.
And their stories back there where UFOs were flying around, they were calling them Foo Fighters. So they've been around since World War II. I mean, even before then, right? They've been going on. People, I think Native Americans have their own stories of UFOs and from sky people.
Wow.
They call them.
But this all stems back to, I think, where we talked about, and we actually gave a little kind of backstory on one of the incidences where it brought, I feel, aside from Roswell, that was like the big one, right? But the one that really stirred the pot and got, I think, it more flowing was the Bob Lazar story, where he claimed to work at S4, highly classified area, where they had these crafts hovering, and they wanted to pretty much replicate this technology so the U.S. could have this possession of it. He's always been talking about he's not, he wasn't telling the truth, that he was a phony, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward now, all he's got to say is that he's like, I told you so.
The thing is,
Straight up.
Here's where, you talk about it being man-made, right? I think they are too. And I think that the reason why they haven't released that technology is because they're using gravity, or they're using the power that is free available. So guess what? You start making vehicles that can hover and they're safe, and there's no more
control,
gas to spend. There's your economy right there. Right down the...
I've heard that too. I heard that you that through that Bob Lazar thing, he said that they had the technology in the 60s and 70s to completely eliminate electric emissions. And
Tesla was working on
they had a box. They said that it was like the size of that football box there, and that each house could have one, and it was free. Everything would be free.
And then somebody buys the patent and then completely buries it. Isn't that? I mean,
it's about control.
That's what I'm saying.
Control and money.
All about control, right? We think
oil. The oil companies, right?
Yeah, they would also deplete. RFK being part of this administration, the vaccine companies. He has been so
processed foods too,
loud and about the fact that, what was that?
Processed foods as well.
Processed foods, but I want to stick with the vaccinations because he's talked about the back when we were kids, right? We had like 18 vaccinations we had to take. Now they're up to 33. And then they're seeing this levels of autism just shooting through the roof.
Absolutely.
And then the big pharma's like, we don't know. Right? But it's generating so much money.
It's
so
much
revenue.
It's more obvious.
Wow,
and I'll just speak from experience. I don't want to put too much out there, but the autism level of kids, it's growing substantially to where it's more common than it is now.
That's what I'm saying. So it used to be 1 in 100.
Yeah.
Now they're saying, it's some stupid number, like 1 in 50 or 1 in 100 or 1 in 10 or something.
Yeah.
Something 1 in 13.
Wow.
It is so bad.
Crazy.
And then you still have Big Pharma saying, so RFK coming in at a time like this, he couldn't have come in at a better time. I wish he would have been in there doing this a long time ago. Probably would have saved countless amount of lives.
He wants to remove fluoride from the waters.
We probably wouldn't have taken the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
If he was in charge, we would have.
He wants to go after what's his name?
We would have been forced to, right?
Yeah.
He wants to go after homeboy. What's his name? I forgot the.
Anthony
Fauci. He wants to go Fauci. Yeah.
Good.
And he keeps trolling them like, "Where are you?" on X. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. It's crazy. It's gonna be.
Anthony Fauci was a part of that AIDS research. And dig into that one. I won't say anything on the pod because I don't want us to get banned. It's definitely bannable. Yeah. But you look up Google. I don't know if it's on Google, but look up Anthony Fauci and AIDS research. Not good. Not good.
Oh bueno. Okay.
Not good.
Okay. Well, we've went down many avenues on this one, like we do. There's so much stuff going on in this world, ladies and gentlemen. Just to say, in regards to just touching on the UAP subject. That's one question we want to leave off the pod at the end, since we're reaching the end. Are you a believer of UAPs now, since it's more out there? Now that people are really up and talking about it, we're having more people that are actually, ex-Navy fighter jet pilots. Good Lord. They used to do this for a living, and they claim that they've seen a lot of these things out there that have no explanation of what they are. And what do you think? Real, not real? Also from our religious people, what do you think? What is this reference to? Do you think this is something spiritual? Tucker Carlson said himself that it was something more of like on a spiritual realm.
That's what
that's what he claimed, right? So, what are your thoughts? We'll leave you with that. I mean, aside from that, fellas, anything else you want to touch on before we wrap this one up? I think that topic is going to be more talked about here in the next couple of episodes, because there's a lot of stuff that they touched on before, like in going to deep subscription about just some certain. I'll just say they claimed they went deeper into the fact. They asked one of the gentlemen, I can't remember his name, Lou Elizondo. They asked him, do you guys have they retrieved bodies to your knowledge? And he still can't give a definite answer, but it seems like they do.
Right.
And it's getting crazy.
Yeah.
It's getting crazy now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna leave on that note.
Yeah.
Of course, check out our past previous episodes. If you want to make it easy for yourselves, check it out on Instagram, Beyond Station Podcast. On IG, we'll have direct links to where available. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Everywhere. Every mainstream platform, we are there, baby. So till then, we're gonna sign out. Take care. We'll see you in the next one. We love you. Peace.